Have you ever had one of those experiences which was so delightful and maybe even overwhelming that it was difficult to put into words just what you were experiencing? For example, those key moments of life. Maybe it's your own wedding, or the wedding of your son or your daughter. Maybe it was the birth of a child, or the second or third or fourth child. Maybe it was saying goodbye because it was time to move to college, you were being deployed, or perhaps it was even something like, I'm taking a job in a new city. Maybe it was an ordination. Maybe it was saying goodbye to someone as they approached death. Or perhaps it was a Steubenville experience that many of you young people have gone on. Or the Acts retreat for many of the others of our parish. Maybe it was a mission trip when you were in high school, college, as an adult. All of a sudden being immersed in another world, especially oftentimes experiencing tremendous poverty. Maybe it was a piece of music you heard, a piece of art you looked at. Maybe it was even the garden tours that took place yesterday. All those moments, experiencing, and what do I try to put in words? And as much as we may not find the words, we still find that we want to talk about it because maybe after several conversations, we will capture what the experience was about. I believe that's the context to understand this solemnity that we celebrate this weekend, the solemnity of the Ascension. That the resurrection of Jesus, the ascension of Jesus, and the sending of the Holy Spirit on Pentecost, those three events really make up one mystery. And that it's so much of a mystery, we need more than one day, more than one event to try to capture what all these things were about. Another way to put it for those who have planned a wedding before, it goes from the engagement to the preparations to the rehearsal dinner, the wedding itself, the wedding reception, opening the gifts, the honeymoon. All those are different dimensions of a wedding. But each of them add a different part to the whole event. Again, similarly, that's what the resurrection, the ascension, and the promise of the Spirit are all about. What they celebrate is the ultimate power of God's love. A power that can change lives. That's what the Acts of the Apostles have been reflecting on in our readings for Easter. A power that can change the world. So what part does this solemnity of the Ascension actually play in regards to this bigger picture? I'll offer three thoughts today. First of all, Jesus ascends to the Father and is now in the presence of God. It's a reminder of where our destiny is also, if you would. To be in the presence of God. To experience that divine presence. The resurrection is not just about not being dead. It's about this threshold we cross into a new way of life. A way of life that Jesus now experiences in its fullness. A way that he wishes for each of us to participate in also. Secondly, if you remember several times in John's Gospel especially, Jesus says, I need to ascend to my Father so that the Spirit can be sent to you. In other words, if I don't leave, you don't get it. And so I ascend to the Father so that this gift of love between Father and Son may now come in another fullness upon this church. And we call that Pentecost. But it's the promising of that. And when you receive that Spirit, you will be my witnesses. We will witness to Jesus' presence. We will witness to his ministry and his work in the world. It's really quite cleverly done in the first reading. It's a series of circles, if you could imagine a concentric zone, actually how St. Louis was founded. We go to Jerusalem, then Judea, then Samaria, then Galilee, and then just everywhere. And substitute the street you live on. That's how it continues today, being witnesses. The gospel simply says, you got to go out to all the nations. But it doesn't happen unless Jesus ascends to the Father in order to send the Spirit. And the final thing, actually now, I think references back to Christmas. Remember, one of the titles of Jesus is, He is Emmanuel. God is with us. I think with the solemnity of the Ascension, we celebrate a nuancing of Jesus who is now God for us. I mean, He's always been for us. But the imagery is now that He is in the presence of God. He intercedes on our behalf as the great high priest. And so that's now the new side of it. Not only is He God with us, He is God for us, interceding on our behalf. This solemnity of the Ascension, the part I think it adds to the big picture is it reassures us and reminds us of a hope for our future. And that's what we take with us now. But again, it's part of a bigger picture of which we will hear the completeness with next week when we celebrate the Feast of Pentecost.